Okay, I'm gonna do a test. Haven't really ever done this before, I guess. Seen some other guy do it recently, kind of, and a lot of people complain because he used IRs. I'm going to do the real amp, and what I'm going to be using is this DSL20HR, and those are all the settings. I'm on the ultra gain channel. Looks like the gain's about 4, maybe a little bit above that. Volume's on almost 4, treble on about 6, middle on about 4, bass on almost 6, presence on 5.5, resonance a little less than 5, reverb is off. I'll use it on the high power setting. There's nothing in the effects loop. Tone shift button is out. We're going to go into this Bogner cab here that has 2 65 watt creambacks. It's a big oversized cab, so it has a lot of bottom end to it. I'm going to record it, the microphone, with the SM57, and it's right about where the cap and cone meet. And if you can see that real close, it's like right off the grill, maybe a 1/4 of an inch. Pulling out that into the Apollo Twin right here, and I have a, so you can see that on the channel 1 here. As you can see back here, I don't know if you can see it, there's the green right there. That's channel 1 is coming in. I have one of the DSP preamps on here, the Nave 1073, and that's going into this channel right here, channel 1, and we're going to record that. So hopefully this time it works right. Here we go. Okay, now what I did is I unplugged the cable right here from the loop station, using it same as a monster cable, and it is now plugged in right here to the send of the Kemper. So when the Kemper makes its god-awful noises, it's going to send it out of that into the amp. It's going to get captured by the same microphone, same preamp, and this time, instead of getting recorded on there, we're coming out right here. It's an output on the Apollo Twin right here. Let's see that little blue there with the red, if you can see that, and it lands right here into the return, and that's how the Kemper does its thing. So let's turn this amp on. Now this is going to get loud. I will be in the room holding my ears, so it'll probably distort the crap out of this microphone. We'll see. So what I do here is hit this right there. So with the cabinet's distorted amp. Start profiling. There we go. Okay, let's turn the amp off. Okay, so now it's inside the Kemper. I'll hit store, and I'll just give this a I already done some, so it's got some of the naming there. Let's let it leave it the same except for the final name. And we'll call it let's see here, clear this out. What's it called? DSL20 real. How about that? I'll name it that. And hit store. And there she is, right there. You can see that. There we go. Okay, I'll shut this off, and I'm going to set that up now so we can record it into the DAW, and then we can compare the differences. Okay, now we got to do this again because I realized if you unplug that cable there, it, for some reason doesn't save it. So that same monster cable was going in the amp now is going into the Kemper right here. So now it's just a regular, like you're playing your guitar through the Kemper. And that profile we made, that DSL20 real. Okay, and I got it coming in this monitor output, or actually it's the main output, not monitor output, and it's coming into channel 2 of my Apollo. So on Studio 1 here, input 2. So go ahead and record this. Hit the play button. I got everything turned down out here so you won't hear it, but you can see it on the screen. So you should see the same wave file roughly. I'll have to line them up though. Okay, it should be the end of it right there. And I'll just let it play till the beginning of the loop. Maybe not. Okay. Alright, so that's that. As you can see, those are very similar. So I'll sign off here, and then obviously I'm not going to let you hear which one's which until the end of the video. So stick around. Okay, so I got track 1 right here, it's highlighted. Track 2 highlighted. Hopefully you can see that in the screen. So we got number 1 and number 2. I'm not going to tell you which one is which, so we'll play number 1 first. I got that solo. I'm just going to play the first half of the track. Here we go. Okay, same part of the riff with number 2 playing. Okay, go back to number 1. Now I'm gonna play the second part. Here we go. Oh, let's start it right here. Okay, now number 2. Okay, there's a difference there. I can hear it a little bit. I'm not a not one of them guys. I'm going to say that a Kemper is going to absolutely sound 100% like a real amp. It doesn't. It gets really close, and the feel of it is closer than anything I've played so far that's not real. So there's definitely an audible difference there. It's like if you had it in a mix, a little EQ, probably wouldn't be able to tell. I probably couldn't tell, to be honest. If it was in a mix, I couldn't say, oh, that's a Kemper. You're comparing them like this, yeah, you can. And the whole thing with a lot of guys, they talk about feel, and that feel is the dynamics of how the amp reacts when you pick. So that's why I did what I did here, and tried to hit some hard chords, pick lightly, and wasn't moving the volume knob, just soft picking, the heavy picking, letting one ring out, chord ring out, single note ring out. But you can actually, if you can see this, you can see it. It's obvious as the nose on my face. When I look at it, I can tell which one's the real amp. So if you look at this track right here, see these little bumps, especially right in here and right in here where I was doing more dynamically playing. See all them bumps? See up here? Not as many, or not as big. So the answer is this. Number one is the Kemper. And here's the real amp. Okay, guys, so there you have it. Like I said, I wasn't doing. My point was not really to do this to say, hey, a Kemper sounds exactly like the real thing, or say there's no way it can sound like the real thing. It's kind of like the way I say it is, it's a tool. It's any other tool you can use in your arsenal of playing music. I personally think the Kemper is the best sounding headphone amp I've ever heard. I mean, it gets that close to the real one, and hearing it through like headphones, you want to play late at night and you can't bother people, and you can, profile your real amp. If you had one, trust me, you'll love it. That is the best way to hear your real amp quiet, or if you want to play quietly, but you want to have that, your real amp sound, is you get you a really, really expensive, really expensive headphone amp called the Kemper Profiler. And it works great for that. I love it for that. And you could use it for recording. I mean, absolutely, I would use it for recording. And that bit of a difference, yeah, it's there. You can hear it. The Kemper, I think, is cooler because it's not. The feel is way closer than any other, like the amp sims and stuff I've tried out, at least. And because a lot of them you're playing through a computer and stuff like that, you get just too much latency. So I mean, there's a little latency with it too, but just by itself, but it's pretty much negligible. And but there's a difference in the feel. I mean, it's there. It's very, very subtle. And we're playing in a mix, or you just want to jam quietly, you can't beat it. So to me, I wouldn't bash it for anything. And it's like, if you're a guy and you can't afford a whole bunch of really cool amps and you can find profiles that sound good to you, well, it's a cool tool to have. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's not, to me, ever going to replace the real deal. If I'm doing, a really important project and I'm going to record, I'm probably going to use the real deal, but I may not. It just depends on how much time I got. If I was short on time and patience to set up the real guy and all that, I would have no problem using the Kemper. I think it sounds absolutely great. So, you know, not the real deal, no, not exactly, but I'd say it's about 95% there. And to me, compared to a lot of the amp sims I've tried out, they're like maybe 60. So, but this, I think what it helps too with the Kemper is I think it helps like when you're recording. You know, not only is it the sound, it's the how comfortable the musician feels when they're playing, when they're recording. So that's a kind of a big deal, and I think the Kemper does that better than any of the software stuff I've tried. You know, so but you know I haven't tried everything, so maybe there's other stuff out there. But yeah, if I was going to play live, I mean, quite frankly, when I play live, I use my rack setup, my JMP1, and whatever cab and whatever amp I need. If I need more power, I'll bring the bigger amps. Smaller power, I'll bring one of the smaller ones. But anyhow, it's like I've tried the Kemper a very little bit with solid state amps, and you know, it's like the difference there is quite a bit more difference than what we just heard here on the DAW. So I would personally never go that route, but I guess there are some guys. I mean, I guess if you're going through monitor speakers and stuff like that, I mean, that's what it's going to sound like. It's going to sound like you got your amp recorded in a separate room going through a monitor. It's, you know, that's not going to sound as good as a real amp on stage. So me personally, I would always rather have a real amp on stage. So anyhow, like I said, this whole thing isn't to bash either one. I just like there's a lot of guys out there, they're, you know, sitting on one side or the other, and the reality is it's like, I mean, they're both cool. I mean, obviously the real amp is the best, no questions. That is the best, and you know, I would always would rather have a real amp. But the Kemper is not that bad. It's a really good tool to have, and if you can afford one, I highly recommend it. Especially you guys that don't like to or can't play really loud, but once in a while. But man, if you capture your own amp, and of course you know you got to have all the stuff to do that with, but you could always go to a studio, I guess, and pay somebody a little bit of money and have them capture your amp, and then have it for all those quiet times you need. And I'll be honest, I sit probably 90% of my time anymore. I'll sit and just with a set of headphones on and use the Kemper, and of course always playing a profile of my own amp. And that's the other thing about the Kemper. It's like you can get a ton. There's like a zillion profiles out there, and everybody captures them. You know, it could be the same exact amp, and they capture them differently than you do. So you know, and set the amp up differently, so it's not always going to work. So that's one of the things I think the Kemper doesn't do as good as maybe some of the modelers. The modelers are, you know, of course they're fake too, but they're, you know, at least you can move the knobs, and they kind of, I think maybe will allow for moving the knobs a little bit better. But I haven't had a whole lot of experience with that yet, so maybe in the future we'll see. But I might be getting it. Well, I am getting a neural DSP quad cortex, and when we get that, then I'm going to do the same exact test with neural, and we'll see which one does the best. We'll see about that one. But anyhow, so I guess that's it. I'll shut her off now and enjoy.